Hello, good afternoon. You have shown up for your Tuesday Tea-ology, only to find me with the cold in my throat, and unable to deliver to the normal extent on my obligations to you. Mm. But we shall persevere. Maybe a bit short today, as speaking is not my big thing at the moment. But it is Tuesday, it's November 5th, 2024, as I am giving this theology. And for those of you who are fellow American citizens, I assume that most of my viewership, possibly all, fits into that category. This is a big political day. It's election day here, and it is a presidential election as well as a great many of other candidates and issues on our ballots. I hope that if you are a U.S. citizen and a Christian, that you have taken the time or will take the time over the next few hours to get out to the polls and cast your vote. I think that we do have a civic responsibility to try to uh, help our nation as God has privileged us to live in a republic to do our part. However, however much chicanery there may be in the works, nonetheless, to try to make a better world for our neighbors and children. One wrestles as a pastor with how to approach politics. I certainly don't think that the church ignores politics. Political realities can have a big influence on our society. They can make a difference for, again, for our friends and neighbors and our children. It's part of caring for others. At the same time, it is abundantly clear that both political parties in the United States would love to have the church as their servant, and it is abundantly clear that both political parties fall far short of advocating for the righteousness of God in our nation. So, how do we approach this? We focus on issues rather than candidates, although our stance on issues naturally leads to a stance on certain candidates. I certainly think that sound doctrine will lead to political conservatism as the difference between the conservative and liberal parties, socially speaking, unfortunately, has become a difference between a conservative party that is not nearly strong enough at advancing social righteousness and supporting the family and so on. But the Liberal Party has outright made the destruction of the family and the denigration of the human being central to their platform. Someone in a recent publication I saw, sort of criticized the conservative mindset, saying, it's not our goal to try to return the United States to the 1950s. Well, whether or not that would be desirable, I want to say a statement like that strikes me as extremely naive when you look at the actual political uh, scene. For better or worse, conservatism isn't trying to return the United States to 1950s. It's just trying to suggest that drag queens don't belong in public schools and that murdering the unborn is wickedness and that there's such a thing as men and women, that they're different. To be a conservative, you don't have to hold to really very rigorous standards. You just kind of have to believe that women are entitled to dignity, privacy, and opportunity. That is to say that there is such a thing as a woman. So, so my inclinations are perfectly clear, and I see no need to veil those, even while admitting that there is much to be displeased about in the state of American conservatism. Sometimes it is hardly conservative at all, or doesn't seem to have any recognition of what it is we're supposed to be conserving. I think that was one classic sort of definition of conservatism. It centers on conserving something. There is much in the American heritage that would be worth conserving because there is much that emerged out of a Christian worldview. And it is possible to arrive there again. It is possible to see a closer approximation to Christianity in American life than we have ever seen before. And by God's grace, that may one day be so. I know that seems quite far away as we vote today, and politics will not bring that about. Only revival can bring that about. But politics has an impact and will shape the amount of freedom that Christians will have in coming years to share their faith. As we see Christians in England being arrested for silently praying outside abortion clinics, we see what political realities can mean on the ground. So we do our part in a very imperfect political system. Politically, I'm a pragmatist. I was more of an idealist than I am, but now I'm jaded. Uh, I I do not hold much hope in the current situation of having a political candidate I can really wholly admire. And I do not think that abstaining from voting is going to get me any closer to there. I think when you have two options, you pick the better of the options, uh, warts and all. And you recognize that if there is no way forward that doesn't involve some bad, you at least have opted for and tried to encourage the one you think is going to do the most good or the least harm. Now, that may sound rather dour uh, because of saying the prospects of politics are limited. We, we will not find our Messiah there. Indeed, in this election and the past, I don't know how many, uh, we 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 have very unfortunate choices. And Lord may have mercy, and there may be a better day. Uh, but in any case, uh, the political solution is doing the best to promote good and limit harm in the temporal sphere in a difficult situation with a pragmatic decision for the possibility of real good results and the possibility of really dangerous results. But it's not where our hope is resting. Where do we find confidence and hope? If we do not trust in politics, are we to go through this day all gloom and doom, this day and many other days? And the answer, of course, is no, because while politics cannot save, God can. And while the fates of nations rise and fall, while powers rise and fall, while men and women grasp for authority and oftentimes trample on the poor, there are eternal realities. There is an unshakable kingdom of Christ there is judgment coming for the wicked and salvation for all who take the way of life in Jesus, our Savior. Let's reflect for just a couple minutes on the election day psalm, Psalm 2. Why do the nations rage and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us burst their bonds apart and cast away their cords from us. Why do the wicked plot and defy God, when the reality is that there will be a day of judgment, and they can never shake God from his throne? He who sits in heaven laughs, the Lord holds them in derision. Then he will speak to them in his wrath and terrify them in his fury, saying, as for me, I have set my king on Zion, my holy hill. God is not threatened, whatever the results of this or any election may be. God's rulership is absolute and enduring. His triumph is sure, and we can rest secure knowing that his day of reckoning is coming for the wicked. I will tell of the decree. The Lord said to me, you are my son. Today I have begotten you. Ask of me, and I will make the nations your heritage and the ends of the earth your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron. You shall and dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Above all of these kings and presidents and tyrants of the world, whether in the business world or the political world and various other kinds, is a Lord who died and rose again and ascended and reigns, who has been exalted to the right hand of the Father, Jesus Christ, and who will triumph over all, and whose kingdom will endure. Now therefore, O kings, be wise. Be warned, O rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish in the way, for his wrath is quickly kindled. Blessed are all who take refuge in him. There's the end result. Those who defy God should take warning, and the deceit with which they grasp for power and the suffering that they inflict upon the lowly as they seek to set themselves up, they should take warning. They should be wise and turn in trembling to the Lord. His day of judgment is coming. That is a terror for those who hate him, and that is a comfort and security for those who follow him. And that last line, blessed are all who take refuge in him. If Christ's kingship is ultimate and eternal and inescapable, what are we to do? Turn to him, trust in him, take refuge in him, and taking refuge in him, we need not fear anything that happens in this world. So, may the triumph of Jesus Christ be your stability and security as you go through the ups and downs of this week and of this world. The Lord be with you.